West Africa is currently going through a time of big political problems. On one side, we have the usual group, the West African Economic and Monetary Union, which has always been about working together and being stable. On the other side is the new alliance of Sahel states, made up of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. These countries, all run by military leaders after recent takeovers, have decided to go a different way. They've moved away from their old colonial power, France, and regional groups they think France controls. This has created a big split that could hurt the whole area. Welcome to Ouattara Africa. This split isn't just about politics, it's about ideas and money, with two very different ideas for the future fighting against each other. In this complicated situation, the president of Côte d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, has become a very important person. As the leader of one of UEMOA's strongest economies, he is seen as a key defender of the way things are. His strong stand against the military takeovers in nearby countries has made him a leading voice for the UEMOA group. Many in the world, especially in Western countries, see him as a strong defense against the problems spreading across the Sahel. His leadership is thought to be very important for keeping the other member countries together and for figuring out how to deal with the AES countries who have chosen to fight instead of work together. The AES countries, however, see Ouattara's role very differently. From their point of view in Bamako, Ouagadougou and Niamey, the Ivorian president is not a fair judge but a tool of French control. They say that his tough positions are not his own ideas, but are instead in line with, and maybe even told to him by Paris. This view makes him seem like he's working for France, trying to separate the new Sahelian leaders and mess up their own decisions. The tension is clear, with people blaming each other and creating a lot of distrust that makes it hard to talk and make peace in the region. This makes Ouattara a figure who causes strong feelings in this unfolding drama. This situation puts Côte d'Ivoire right in the middle of the regional problem. The country shares borders with two AES members, Mali and Burkina Faso, which makes the political friction a direct national security worry. The fight over ideas between the two groups is happening along these borders, affecting trade, working together on security, and people moving around. President Ouattara's actions and words are therefore watched very closely, not just as the policies of a neighboring leader, but as moves in a much bigger political game. His leadership is now a very important factor in deciding whether the region breaks apart more or finds a way back to being united. President Alassane Ouattara's recent trip to France, ending with a planned meeting with President Emmanuel Macron at the Élysée Palace on July 16, 2025, has made people talk even more. This isn't just a normal diplomatic visit, its timing is very important. Welcome to Ouattara Africa. It comes at a time when the Sahel problem is at its worst and just a few months before Côte d'Ivoire's own presidential election. For people watching, the meeting is a clear sign of the close partnership between the two leaders. The talks are officially expected to be about regional stability, but many believe they will go deeper into the political future of both Côte d'Ivoire and the wider West African region, making people think there's a planned strategy between Paris and Abidjan. The relationship between Ouattara and Macron is known to be strong and has been going on for a long time. Ouattara has always been one of France's most trusted friends in Africa, a leader with whom the Élysée can talk openly and often. This closeness, while good for their two countries, also causes problems. Critics say that this closeness makes Ouattara less independent as an African leader. They suggest that big decisions about Ivorian policy, especially about regional security and politics, are heavily influenced by what France wants. The fact that Ouattara spent over a week in France before his official meeting only makes these claims stronger in the eyes of those who don't like him, who see it as proof of his loyalty. The plan for the Paris meeting is thought to go beyond regional issues to the urgent matter of who will be the next leader in Côte d'Ivoire. European countries are reportedly worried about the tense political situation in the country before the October 2025 election. There are rumors that Macron might use the meeting to talk about how important it is to have an election where everyone can participate, and that is peaceful. This kind of talk, however, has two sides. While it can be seen as friendly advice meant to keep things stable, it can also easily be seen as foreign meddling in the independent affairs of the Ivorian nation, blurring the line between diplomatic advice and political pressure. This meeting, therefore, is much more than just a simple photo opportunity. It is a political act that sends a strong message across West Africa. For Ouattara's supporters, it confirms his status as a respected international leader and a key partner for peace. For his opponents and for the leaders of the AES, it confirms what they suspected, that the plans being used to handle the regional problem are not being made in Abidjan alone, but are being created together in Paris. The meeting at the Élysée becomes a symbol of the very power dynamics that are currently being challenged by a growing part of the continent. Inside Côte d'Ivoire, the country is facing its own big political problems, which are closely connected to the regional drama. The country is getting ready for a presidential election on October 25th, 2025, and the political mood is already very tense. The ruling RHDP party has named President Ouattara as its candidate, but he hasn't officially said yet if he will try for a controversial fourth term. This uncertainty is causing a lot of worry and anxiety among both the opposition and the general public. His decision, expected when he returns from France, will be a very important moment that could either calm down or greatly increase domestic political tensions before the vote. The main reason for this tension is the issue of who can participate in the election. Several important opposition figures have been removed from the voter list, effectively stopping them from being in the upcoming election. This includes important leaders like former President Laurent Gbagbo, whose PPACI party is a big political force, and Tidjane Thiam, the new leader of the old PDCI party. The opposition says that these removals are politically motivated, designed to clear the way for the ruling party's candidate. They are demanding a full change of the Independent Electoral Commission and a complete review of the voter list to make sure the election is fair and open for everyone. Laurent Gbagbo in particular has spoken out strongly against it, publicly saying that a fourth term for Ouattara would be against the law and promising to fight it. This sets the stage for a possible fight between the supporters of two of the country's most powerful political figures. The memory of the 2010 to 2011 post-election crisis, which led to a lot of violence and deaths, is still strong in people's minds. The current disagreement over the election rules and who can be a candidate is bringing back fears that the country could again be pushed to the edge of instability if a political agreement isn't found soon. The demands from the Ivorian opposition are clear and united. They want an inclusive political discussion to solve these disagreements before the election. Their list of complaints includes putting Gbagbo, Thiam, Guillaume Soro, and Charles Blegoud back on the voter list, along with big changes to make sure everyone has an equal chance. Without these changes, they say that the election will not be seen as fair and could start a major political crisis. The government's response to these demands will be very important in deciding whether Côte d'Ivoire can get through this election period peacefully or if it is heading for another round of conflict and division. The way Côte d'Ivoire's internal political problems mix with its big role in the regional crisis has made many people wonder how much France is really influencing things. The accusation, especially from sources like Faso Vox Press and other media that support the AES, is that President Ouattara is not just a friend of France, but is actively managing the regional crisis because Paris tells him to. This story suggests that his strong stand against the Sahelian military governments and the removal of his political rivals at home are two sides of the same coin. A plan put together to protect France's interests and keep a government that does what it's told in its traditional area of influence. There is some proof that makes these suspicions seem real, at least to critics. Reports have come out, for example, that President Macron and former Senegalese President Macky Sall urged Ouattara to let his opponent Tidjane Thiam run in the election. While this could be seen as a push for more democracy, it is also a direct interference in Ivorian election politics. For those who believe in the idea of France pulling the strings, this is proof that Paris actively tries to shape the political situation in Abidjan, choosing which players are acceptable and which are not. Ouattara's actions after that are therefore seen through this idea of foreign influence. Of course, there is another way to look at it. This is Adre Africa. Thanks for watching. Supporters of President Ouattara and many neutral experts say that his policies are based on what's best for his country and the region, not on foreign orders. They argue that his opposition to military takeovers is a matter of principle, based on a commitment to ECOWAS rules and constitutional order. His close relationship with France, from this point of view, is simply smart diplomacy, a useful alliance that helps Côte d'Ivoire's economy and security. They would say that it's perfectly normal for allied leaders to talk about things that matter to both of them, and that such talks don't automatically mean being controlled or losing independence. In the end, why this matters goes far beyond Côte d'Ivoire's borders. The idea that France is interfering, whether it's true or not, is a powerful force in West Africa today. It makes people feel angry at France and gives a reason for the military governments in the Sahel who have made independence a key part of their changes. The political future of Côte d'Ivoire and the stability of the whole region now depend on these complicated situations. A peaceful, fair election in Abidjan could bring back trust in democratic processes, while a disputed outcome or the idea of France controlling things could make the region's problems worse, with lasting effects for millions of people.